Now there's relatively recent news from Mercedes that the new 63 that's being developed is going to have a 2-litre 4-cylinder engine. I'm not sure if this news is widespread, but it just makes you think, what's the point? The purpose of buying a C63 is you get this nutty AMG version of the C-Class with a bloody V8 in it, not the engine from an A-Class, which this would be. You can't even call it a C63. There's already backlash just from the change of the W204 to the W205 versions, going from a 6.2 litre to a 4 litre V8. But with the success of the AMG GT and the same V8 that's used in that, used in the C63 of the W205, the criticism was ironed out because of its performance. I don't think the same will happen to this change. The engine that they're going to put in the new C63 is the same engine that is in an A45. So why wouldn't you just get an A45? The only difference between the two at that point now is slightly more legroom in the back and a smaller boot. It's going to have more power, but from a bloody remote-controlled battery. What's the point? It's not a car, is it? I don't understand what marketing they will have to do to attempt to make this a success. It probably will be somewhat of a success because of the badge on the front of it. But I don't think to the same margin that current one and the predecessor were. The whole point of a C63 is it's this big bastard aggressive thing that has a ridiculous amount of power and makes this brilliant noise. What's the point now when it's going to have stupid power thanks to turbos that make no noise and it just all feels artificial and like you've got a bigger bodied A45 for a ridiculous amount more money on top of the A45? I don't understand the thought process. By being conservative in any element of the C63's production, it doesn't follow the intention of a C63 to have this irresponsible amount of power, look so aggressive, and just have "look at me" written all over it. To have any conservative element of it included in its design, then it's not going to be a C63 then. There's also talk that this same engine that they're bringing in from the A45 will be put in the C43. And again, the C43 was brought in to be a smaller engine than that of the C63. So if it's the same engine just with artificially less power, again, what's the point? What's the separation? They're all the same product with only minor differences that someone isn't going to be willing to pay the premium for that it costs to go in between each one. The conglomerate company size of Mercedes, where they've probably got a committee for every level of its design, production and marketing, has someone with qualifications within product development ticked off this and said, yeah, that makes sense. The C63 in its essence is supposed to be the rarer version of the car. They're supposed to be bought by people who want that in mind. They want, one, it's filtered down for the fact that most people can't afford them, and two, it's filtered down by most people don't want them. Most people don't take that jump of going to the full-blown C63. So why do they have to be conservative like they're talking about a model that's released in the masses, where the total CO2 emissions do actually make a difference? Why is that then a consideration for a niche market and a niche product? And this is depressing for me. Like I've said in previous videos, is the next decade is probably the time that I will be able to gather the money and the funding to eventually then purchase one of these cars. But with all these changes that are happening, the desirable cars are the ones that are already on the second-hand market now and are probably going to go up in price. So it just feels like I'm being strangled for the fact that you have to make a choice and you have to make it now and you have to come up with this money out of nowhere. They're not going to be cars. They're going to be appliances. They're going to be a microwave on wheels. At the end of the day, though, I'm not one of these head of marketing people in Mercedes, so I could be chatting bollocks. I own a bloody white Fiesta that I'm probably never going to move away from.